Hi, happy VEDA. Today is a little bit more of a serious topic, so grab a cup of tea, a cup of something warm, or just stay hydrated because I need to talk about ableist language with y'all. So this is a video that I've been thinking about making for, I would say, a year or so, because it's something that grates on my nerves and really pisses me off. I've been noticing ableist language a lot more in some of the content that I consume, whether that's podcasts or TV, movies, even videos as well on here. And it's something that I think I should be required to talk about at some point, not only because it's something that affects me, but as the Disabilities on YouTube creator, just as an individual existing in the society, it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I can't tell if folks are using this language because, one, they may not know that these terms have an ableist connotation and affect certain people, or if they just don't care. And it might not be a binary spectrum. Like, people may be falling somewhere in between there. But regardless, I feel like the information is out there. And I don't understand why folks are still using it, other than perhaps like it's a default in that it's ingrained into the English language and American culture, I would say more specifically. But regardless, it's got to stop because it's not only something that I think impacts people negatively, but it's just not appropriate. And it's something that I want to shed light on today. A little bit more than I think the discussion has already been continued and discussed on here. So this is your content warning. I'm going to be discussing ableist language here. I'm probably not going to use the terms because I don't feel comfortable perpetuating them, but I will be putting some examples in this as well as in the description below. So I've noticed that there are folks who, not only in their discussions with others, but even on social media, are using words that are ableist as expressions of shock, of anger, of dismissal of folks. And I don't feel comfortable using them in my video, to be honest. I can certainly leave examples of them. I will leave some articles below that illustrate them. But what I want to get at here is the result of using words like these in conversation of like, that is so blank kind of thing. What it does is it others folks, and you are using your language to state that there are people that you determine as less than, which absolutely not. Shut that down, please. That is not okay with me. And there are other things that are used in our common vernacular that I think aren't directly ableist, but they showcase and other folks as well. So those can be examples of like seeing, walking, moving to. There are oftentimes those are used, and this is one where I feel more okay kind of intervening and correcting those things or offering up substitutions for those language when I'm actually with people, because I feel like it's not a direct attack, and confronting people, I think even for me, is still somewhat of a challenge. But I think what that does as a result is anybody who is not able to complete those kind of physical tasks or just tasks in general feel othered. They feel less than, and they can feel devalued. And as someone who has been on the other side of this and has received these words, not only from the first category of often being more derogatory and more shaming and more rude, but also the second category of just not being able to complete the tasks that I guess are assumed by other folks, it makes me feel like crap, honestly, and that I am not worthy, and that it's something that maybe I don't feel deserving of being in the community, whatever that community may be. So, as I mentioned before, I'm going to list some articles below that showcase the words I'm discussing and offer up some substitutions to use instead. But I think that if you want to participate in any sort of inclusive community, taking out ableist language from not only your vernacular, but from the vernacular of the folks that you are interacting with is crucial, because ableism exists and it's not acceptable. And I think that it's something that I've noticed a lot more probably in the past like 6 months or so, as I've been kind of curating these ideas for what I want in my classroom when I begin teaching. And when I notice this language being used so commonly and there isn't any change going on, whether that's podcasts that I listen to, or even in new movies, like it's used in Get Out, for goodness sake, or it's used in TV shows. Like I'm watching RuPaul's Drag Race for the first time right now, and it is a common thing that's used there too. It makes me want to not consume that content anymore because I feel like crap. And that is coming from someone who is disabled and has trauma and anxiety, but oftentimes I feel like this language is used around me because I pass as being able-bodied too. And I think that that's something that's worth noting. But it shouldn't be used regardless. There's really nothing else to say about that. I think another example that's worth noting too is in my podcast, we are reading through the Twilight series right now. And that is riddled with ableist language. And so when I'm thinking about this, I want to make sure that the students that I interact with, and not only that, but the individuals that I interact with, are coming into that space feeling valued. So it's not only just about not using things that have this language in them, but also being aware of prior experiences. And you may not always know what folks are going through, and you probably won't know what folks are going through. So be cognizant, be intentional with the language that you're using, because as we all know, words have power. They can impact a lot of things. So just adjust it. I understand that there's a learning curve and that it takes time, and that it's oftentimes folks are mirroring the language that they are around. I understand that, but I don't accept it, and I want it to change. And I think that the more that we discuss this and become open about it and create strategies for offering up substitutions or discussing it in the moment, I think are very helpful. I still feel nervous about interrupting that language when I am around it, because my initial reaction is to just like be less than and to go inside myself. And so any strategies that you have to offer, feel free to leave them below, and let's begin curating this conversation so that it can stop and lessen, and that when it happens, we don't accept it, myself included. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye.